Greetings, this is Paul the Poke from PaulthePoke.com. Welcome to This Week in Prophecy, and we are going to recap the Trump Middle East tour. Big time prophetic implications, potentially. Refresher course, Ezekiel 38, verse 13, Sheba, Dedan, that's modern-day Saudi Arabia, the merchants of Tarshish, arguably Western Europe, and all their young lions will say to you, there's some open debate as to who the young lions are, have you come to take plunder, talking to Russia or Magog and friends, have you gathered your army to take booty, to carry away silver and gold, to take away livestock and goods, to take great plunder? So it's clearly an economic play for Russia and friends to go invade Israel because they are prosperous and they want to take their goods. That's the idea behind it. So as we move forward in time, Israel will continue to become more prosperous and have more goods to the point that Russia and friends want to come take it. So President Trump made his initial trip abroad outside the United States since being reelected, and he chose to go to the Middle East. The first stop was ancient Sheba and Dedan, or modern-day Saudi Arabia. And the Saudis committed $600 billion to United States business. Now, we're going to hit the details. And I pulled all these up just so you don't have to listen to any nonsense from the mainstream press. They frankly didn't report much on it, but you can see the details here put out by the White House. Strengthening strategic partnerships for economic prosperity. And we're going to just go straight to the details. Historic, transformative for both countries, and represents a new golden era of partnership between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. The policy has put the American economy, the American worker, and our national security first. Well, that's Trump. That's his deal. Okay, so the following represent just a few of the many transformative deals. Saudi Arabian Datavolt is moving forward with plans to invest $20 billion in AI data centers and energy infrastructure in the U.S. Google, Datavolt, Oracle, Salesforce, AMD, and Uber invest $80 billion, both countries. Hill, International, Jacobs, Parsons, AECOM are building key infrastructure projects like the airport, King Solomon Park, the Vault, Qiddiya City, totaling more than $2 billion in U.S. services exports. GE Vernova's gas turbines, energy solutions, totaling $14.2 billion. Boeing 737-8 passenger aircraft, $4.8 billion. Healthcare sector, Shemek IV Solutions, $5.8 billion in Michigan, high capacity IV fluid center. $5 billion in energy investment fund, $5 billion new aerospace and defense technology fund, $4 billion infield sports, global sports funds, each channeling substantial capital into American industries, driving innovation, creating high-quality jobs across the U.S. So, and then in addition to just business, $142 billion providing Saudi Arabia with state-of-the-art war-fighting equipment and services from over a dozen U.S. firms. So that will pay attention there, Iran. That's directed at you folks. Sales we intend to complete fall into 5 broad categories: Air Force advancement, space capabilities, air and missile defense, maritime coastal security, border security and land forces modernization, information communication system upgrades. So, extensive training, support to build capacity of Saudi armed forces, including enhancement of Saudi service academies and military medical services. So, lots of stuff going on. U.S. and the Saudis celebrate these and many other deals today as a result of growing momentum of the last 4 months, quickly built to more than $600 billion between the two countries. So, and there's more. Saudi direct investment in the United States totaled $9.5 billion in 2023. 24 goods totaled $25.9 billion, and a trade surplus of goods of $443 million. And that's the big deal. We've got massive trade deficits with people like China, and this is a way to start offsetting that and making it more fair and equitable. So again, you can continue to read more of this. I mean, air transport, NASA, Saudi Space Agency, cultural things, Smithsonian Art, Museum of Asian Art, Royal Commissions. Crazy. That's just the Saudis. There's one. 2 to go. Well, before we get to 2 to go, there were other things that happened too. Trump announced economic sanctions have been lifted against Syria. Celebrations seen tonight in the capital of Damascus and across Syria following today's announcement by President Trump during his visit to Saudi Arabia on the lifting of all sanctions imposed by the U.S. against Syria under the Assad regime. So Assad's no longer in power. The thinking is lift the sanctions, give these people a chance. This is the largest victory for Syria and the Syrian people since the fall of Bashar al-Assad. That's back in December, so we're coming up on 6 months of that. If you guys want to watch the videos of a lot of flag waving and dancing, feel free to do that. And Trump met with the new president, formerly known as, he gets got a lot of different things he goes by. Al-Jilani, that was his ISIS moniker. Now he goes by Syrian President al-Shara'a. Shara'a, however you want to say that. My apologies. Now, Al-Jilani should remember it was Trump who effectively dismantled ISIS during his first administration. And this one's a little bit of a head-scratcher to me. I mean, he's got to know this is a bad dude. I'm talking about this guy right here. He's former ISIS. And don't kid yourself. And they put these people in these suits. Now look at his tie. His tie's a little crooked. Pull his hair back, give him a haircut, shave his beard, trim him up a little bit, make him more friendly to us in the West so that we feel better about it. I'm not buying it. Tiger doesn't change its stripes. And I know a lot of people, I get a lot of feedback from folks. I get it. They don't trust MBS either. They're the never Trumpers. I mean, they just must think this is an unholy alliance standing here in this picture. I get a lot of feedback thinking MBS is the Antichrist. I don't think so. I don't think any of these guys are the Antichrist. But I'm very open to what we are watching is setting up a covenant or a massive agreement at some point in the future that will be confirmed by the Antichrist, and that's per Daniel 9:27, I believe it is. So I think it's interesting what we're watching. And I would think this guy here, Al-Jilani, I'm going to call him Al-Jilani because that's how I knew of him first through ISIS, and I'm going to continue. I'm not going to fall for the media's bait and switch. Oh, let's clean him up, give him a haircut and a shave, put him in a suit, change his name so you forget he was ISIS. No, he's ISIS. And I'll call him Al-Jilani. That'll upset some people. That's fine. But that's what we're looking at. And, just makes you wonder what we're in the process of watching. And all these places have prophetic significance. Damascus, don't forget, goes down at some point in the future. And they stand. All these guys are going to stand around when Russia and buddies come to steal and take plunder from Israel. So you can see how the alliance is getting stronger on the southern end of this with Sheba, Dedan, and friends. And how they'll stand around and do nothing because they'll be tied economically with trillions of dollars in American investment. Now, what I will find interesting is how does the United States go along with it too? Up front, I'd have to think Trump may not be in office unless he's about to pull a massive bait and switch on Israel. I don't know. But we'll watch it unfold. From Saudi Arabia, Trump went to Qatar, or Qatar as some would call it, and they committed $1.2 trillion towards American business. Click on this link. We'll go here. Right there. Yeah. Again, this is from the White House. Actual details. Signs an agreement with Qatar to generate an economic exchange worth at least $1.2 trillion. Selling more aircraft, GE Aerospace engines to Qatar Airways. Yep, Boeing, GE Aerospace, $96 billion. Gives the details of the jets. Boeing's largest ever wide-body order and largest ever 787 order. This will support 154,000 U.S. jobs annually, totaling over 1 million jobs in the U.S. during the course of production and delivery of this deal. We're going back to work, people. We're building things again. McDermott, strong partnership with Qatar Energy. Energy infrastructure, 7 projects worth $8.5 billion. Sole provider of offshore components for Qatar's major LNG expansion. That's how Europe's going to get their cheap energy, apart from Russia. So again, you can see how Ezekiel 38 is coming into focus. This alliance out of the Middle East is taking business away from Russia, so Russia's going to go in there and get them into Israel. Makes sense how all this is coming into focus. Parsons has successfully won 30 projects worth up to $97 billion. There is that little peninsula country sits on one of, if not the world's largest natural gas reservoir. It's crazy how much natural gas is over there on the thumb of the Arabian Peninsula. Quantinuum, joint venture with Al Raban Capital, invest up to $1 billion. Quantum technologies and workforce development, U.S. and Qatari jobs. Okay. Accelerate Qatar's defense investment. Raytheon RTX $1 billion agreement for Qatar's acquisition of counter-drone capabilities. Now that's the thing too with Qatar. Qatar funds a lot of stuff, a lot of schools in the United States, colleges, universities. And they also fund a lot of, frankly, terrorism. I mean, they're playing all parts of this thing. And that upsets a lot of people. And so some of this, from a strategy standpoint doesn't make sense in that, we're signing deals with a country that's a broker that supports terrorism. And maybe that's part of the deal too. Hey, we're going to go into business with you. You need to stop it. Let's try this as a different path. Be honest, some of this seems as a leap of faith on Trump's part. A little suspicious of it, but that's just me. Remote piloted aircrafts, $2 billion investment. A drone, in other words. Strengthen security partnership, outlining over $38 billion potential investments, including support for burden sharing at Al Udeid Air Base. Okay. Keep in mind, Qatar's just right across the Persian Gulf. from Iran. Not very far at all, less than 100 miles probably. U.S. had a $2 billion trade surplus in 2024 and had a positive trade balance with Qatar since 2003. Again, another way to offset the trade imbalances with Asia, specifically China. Feel free to read the rest of this on your own, just hitting the highlights. I mean, it's just throwing billions of dollars around like it's nothing. There you go, the art of the deal. 600 billion. Saudi Arabia. 1.2 trillion dollar economic commitment from Qatar. United Arab Emirates. Oh, let's do 1.4 trillion. Let's do a little more. Now, this was kind of fun. The big hair swinging ritual, Trump's UAE visit, was not random, they say. Let's get to the bottom of that. We wanted to read that. This is pretty fascinating. And I've looked up a lot of things. The press just did not want to touch this from a cultural standpoint. Well, let's read it and then we'll watch it. This wasn't random. It's not a TikTok dance. It's ancient, intentional, royal. The ritual is known in Gulf Arab culture, especially in the UAE, as a part of a ceremonial welcome reserved for kings, heads of state, and those given the highest honor. The synchronized hair swaying by women is not a performance. It's a gesture of grace, pride, and spiritual blessing. Symbolizes honor, purity of intent, and in some interpretations, submission to a higher cause or protector. It's rare, it's sacred. You don't get this unless you're being received as a liberator or covenant figure. Trump didn't walk into a normal greeting. He was flanked by military, tribal leaders, ceremonial dancers. Was a king's welcome. Sent a message to the world and especially to those watching in silence. He's not just back, he's the one we trust now. This was a global power shift wrapped in ancient tradition. So this was a big deal for them to do this, apparently. So if I first saw this, I thought, what in the world is going on? And of course, it has meaning to it. We have no idea here in the West with some of these cultural things we're watching. So $1.4 trillion at the UAE. Let's see what we got from the UAE. Again, Boeing made a pile. Man, you'd have known about this beforehand. Bought stock in Boeing before Trump went to the Middle East. Oklahoma. Emirates Global Aluminum will invest to develop a $4 billion primary aluminum smelter project. One of the first new aluminum smelters in America in 45 years. I think Alcoa is another big one in Tennessee. Create thousands of jobs in America and Oklahoma. Strengthen critical mineral supply chains and double current U.S. production capacity. So it must be the size of the factory Alcoa has. And Russia has historically dominated a lot of the aluminum trade around the planet. Again, another shot with Ezekiel 38, the rift between the Arab countries and Russia and friends. It's like, and you're going to do this? Trump's executive order to unleash American energy leadership worldwide, ExxonMobil, Occidental, EOG Resources, partnering with Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, $60 billion oil and natural gas production, help lower energy costs and creates hundreds of skilled jobs in both countries. Looking to stabilize critical mineral supply chain. Okay. Supports security, high-tech manufacturing, creates jobs across the U.S. Qualcomm, an American company, expanding global innovation footprint throughout the Middle East. Amazon Web Services, UAE's Cybersecurity Council, have launched a sovereign cloud launchpad to accelerate public cloud services adoption in the UAE. Expected to contribute $181 billion to UAE's digital economy by 2033. So you don't think crypto's not going somewhere? And I want to say the UAE accepts crypto payment. I think that's correct. If it's not them, it's I think it is the UAE, but I could be wrong. So again, 1.4 trillion, United Arab Emirates. So, in summary, Trump's 4-day trip to the Middle East just raised 2.5 according to these numbers. I would say add another 700 billion, probably closer to 3.2 trillion. Combined value of these investments is larger than the market cap of all but three, I think that says. Let's get to the bottom of that. The combined value of these investments is larger than the market cap of all but three public companies in the world. And I think I saw too, if the Arabian Peninsula gets their act together and they would coordinate and work together, they'll be larger than the European economy. But you know, historically they all fight. We know what prophecy says about that. They will have their hand at each other. They will fight, and they'll fight with their brothers. They just like to fight. But the economic power of that part of the world is tremendous if they would all decide to try to get along. Their fighting causes a lot of their problems. We'll see. So while that was going on, across the Persian Gulf, modern-day Iran, ancient Persia, it's got some ominous overtones to it, doesn't it? Uh, well, and, you know, Trump's talking about a deal with the Iranians, big economic deal, but you're going to have to stop producing the uranium. No nuclear program, no weapons program. They're not going to give that up. I'd be stunned, and if they do, I would really trust whether or not they do it. And besides, prophecy tells us Iran ultimately sides with Magog or modern-day Russia. And I will speculate Iran will not be agreeing to any kind of economic deal with the United States. I just don't see it happening. I could be wrong, and this could be down the road a little bit too. So I'm open to that. With that, we're going to transition to Beth Dagarma, Meshech, Tubal, and Gomer, modern-day Turkey. My man Recep, he's out there playing peace broker with Ukraine and Russia. Met with Zelensky, handshake. This is fun to watch. He doesn't seem to be too engaged. That's just me. Erdogan, that is. Looks good. Yeah, enough of that. Let's move on. Come on, let's go. Let's get out of here. All right. Would appear we are headed towards an expansion of the Abraham Accords. And when Trump was at in the UAE, he went into the guest book at the Abrahamic family house, left a message. Great unity, great faith, incredible people, with a tremendous leader who is a friend of mine. I'm not going to have you watch Trump sign his signature, but they took the time to do it. And I guess they closed this place down, which has never happened. Closed it down. Trump got a personal tour. It was a big deal. With that, we're going to transition and finish and close in Jerusalem. 2 Kings 23, verse 23. But in the 18th year of King Josiah, a good king, this Passover was kept to the Lord in Jerusalem. And I think that was the first time Israel had kept the Passover in Jerusalem, was under King Josiah. Otherwise, well, frankly, they just didn't do it before. He was the first one. It's like, hey, I think we need to do this since they were in the land. Well, here we are, 2,000 years post-Jesus, and we had a lamb brought to the Temple Mount for the second Passover. A Jewish man was intercepted by Muslim caretakers after smuggling a live goat kid, some said lamb, onto the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. So somebody got an animal up there, intending to perform a ritual sacrifice for Pesach Sheni, commemorating ancient Passover tradition. So it'd be the second Passover. So the idea of forgiveness is what that's all about. Here's the article from Israel 365 News. For those of you who want to take a deep dive, Adam Berkowitz, of course, pinning the page. He does a great job over there. Several Jews were arrested on Sunday at the gates of the Temple Mount after they managed to bring a lamb onto the mount to sacrifice it for the second Passover. The Kozrim Lahar, Return to the Mount movement, reported that for the first time in 2,000 years, a live goat was brought onto the Temple Mount with the aim of sacrificing it for the second Passover sacrifice. So, let y'all read the details. Most of this is historical, talking about these things. Interesting stuff to read for those of you who want to take the time. So, speculation. Will a third Jewish temple become a point of negotiation with the Arab world? I'm going to lean toward yes. I think that's what we're getting set up for. Get all these economic deals in place, and then they're going to need a friendly reminder. Now, come on now, give them a chip. Let's all get along. I even saw something the other day. Some of these Arabs, Muslims, were talking about the idea of, hey, we could just do this on a 10-year basis. Let's try this out for 10 years and reevaluate later. All the while gives them time to build their strategy. And we know at some point in the future, some guy's going to come along. Well, let's just try this for 7. Let's give this as a 7-year trial. See if this all works out. So, this past week really kind of brought some things into focus. You can see these alliances getting stronger, how things are lining up with the various countries and groups of people according to Scripture and prophecy. And we'll continue to watch it. We also have Pentecost, Feast of Weeks, Shavuot, coming up here in about 12 days-ish. So things tend to happen in and around headlines of those Lord God appointed feasts, so we'll continue to watch. Appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. Please feel free to share with others. This is under Abraham Accords, SEO titles, Abrahamic Family House, Al-Jalani, Iran, ISIS, bin Salman, Erdogan, Trump, Qatar, the drill. You all just heard it. So please feel free to share with others. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. Take care.